بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد.
We continue our fiqh class, inshallah, and again, fiqh is important for us to know what's halal and haram and the different rules and the do's and don'ts in Islam, inshallah ta'ala.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So we are talking about a sensitive topic, which is normally a topic that we try to avoid talking about because it's misunderstood most of the time, which is the topic of jihad. And we explained last week, jihad means to struggle. And this is where the word came from, to struggle. Jihad, you can struggle against your desire, you can struggle against Shaytan, you can struggle against people who give you a hard time. So it's not necessarily always war, but in Sharia, that's how it is used. So in Sharia, the word jihad means going to war and fight, not the other meanings of jihad. So we have to be clear about that. And we explained last week that jihad is actually something that puts restrictions on the Muslim country. It's not something that is about being on the offense all the time. It actually limits the options. And we said before, when a country is superior in power, military power, and nobody can stop it, it expands to get more resources, to get more power. The Islamic perspective, we can't do that. Muslims can't do that, even if they have the superior power. They cannot fight other people and other countries just to take their land and to expand and to get more money. That is not allowed. And that is what jihad is the rules and restrictions on the movement of the Muslim country in case it was superior. So we're going to talk about a few things. So what is the jihad for? That going to when is the Muslim country supposed to go to war? Number one, to call people to the path of Allah. That's number one. And it's like we said, not for territory or money or anything. We want people to be Muslim. And the proof is if they accept Islam, we'll leave them alone. And we're not doing this for our own sake, we're doing it for them. When you give your child the medicine, if the child says no, you have to give it to them by force, because the child doesn't know what's better for them. Even though we don't force people to be Muslims, never. Yeah. This is not our job. Our job is to deliver the message. We can't force people to be Muslim. So if in this scenario, then there is no messengers after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We are the carriers of this deen, and we are the ones who are supposed to deliver it to the people. We go to a country and say, hey, we want to show our merchandise, if I may call it, which is Islam, to your people. Whoever wants to become Muslim, we're happy for that. Whoever doesn't want to, it's their own decision, and we're done. But if that person says, no, you can't do that, I'm not going to let you talk to my people, then we're going to have to fight him, because it's our responsibility to deliver the message to the people. Since today there is a lot of ways to deliver the message, like there is social media and there is TV and there are so many things, nobody really can say, I never heard of Islam, unless you live in some kind of like place in I don't know, in Africa, where they don't still have electricity even. That's maybe some people actually go there. I heard some people go there and they teach them about Islam even. But in general, Zakir Naik worked a lot in that field. Yeah, he did a lot of work in that field. So But other than that, it's our responsibility to let the people know about our deen. That's our job. We try to do it peacefully first, and if they don't let us, and that is the only way, then we should do it.
Okay, because I'm not understanding an example. If you give an example, like for instance, if we wrote letters, let's say to Russia or to is it China? China has the Uyghur population there, and then we would, if they don't accept, then we go and invade, and then what do? We pass out pamphlets. How does this work?
No, so at our time, were you talking, or are you talking about the past?
I suppose at our time would be.
So at our time, we are assuming that we have a strong, powerful Muslim country. That's what we are assuming. So we can go attack China, inshallah. They will throw us all the made in China. They will take away made on China things and we'll be in trouble. Everything is made in China. So we ask them peacefully. No, China, if you're talking about the oppression that is happening to the Muslims there, that's a different story. We're talking now about number one. Number one is to deliver the message. Fighting oppression is a different number. We're going to get to that. If you're talking about helping our brothers who are undergoing oppression, that's one thing. If you're talking about delivering the message, then that's a different thing. Delivering the message, delivering the message can be done through any channel. Any channel. You can use internet, you can use social media, you can use YouTube. I think even in China, all the restrictions are there, but they don't limit you from watching YouTube. I'm not sure, they might, but if in terms of delivering the message, it's the responsibility of the Muslims who live there. In the early days, when the Muslims had a problem with Persia and the Roman Empire, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ wrote letters to the emperors first, calling them to Islam. And some of them responded positively, some of them not, but those who did not like it, they did not allow the Muslims to come inside their land to talk to anybody, not even peacefully. So that's a different story here. So that's in terms of delivering the message.
My the second half of my question is after the dawah fails, at which point do you pick up arms and invade? And then in the chat we have a question. It says, if innocent people accidentally die in the jihad decided by the Muslim country, will the governor be responsible of those deaths on the Day of Judgment?
Well, first of all, what do you mean failed? Like, we talked to the people and the people refused? That's how it failed? Or we were not given permission to talk to the people? How did it fail?
Okay, so the Chinese president said, no, you cannot, I don't accept Islam and you can't come in and do dawah.
If we're not allowed to talk to the people in any possible way, then that is the next step, assuming that we have enough power and following certain rules. We're going to get to that. Again, jihad is not something that is randomly done by random, you say, the masjid so-and-so, the people there decided to go for jihad and they made a small group. That's not how it works. Unfortunately, this is what's happening in Syria and many other countries. Just a group of people, wherever they find weapons and they start, that's not how it works. So there are rules for that. We're going to get to it. But that is the next step. If the Chinese guy said, no, you can't come, then we will give him a warning. If you don't let us peacefully, we have to talk to your people. And then we can go to the next step, assuming that we have the power. We don't go and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَنفُسِكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. Do not commit suicide. And that's another very important rule in jihad. You do not go to war knowing that you can't win. You know you are under-equipped, you are under technology lower than the enemy. According to the rules of the dunya, you can't win, and then that's suicide. Of course, again, there are rules about that. We'll get to it in time, inshallah. So about the
There's
people who die in jihad, I forgot about that question. Well, in Islam, we're not allowed to attack or hurt civilians, for sure. And when you read history, you find how Islam is so peaceful, especially in the time of war. Even though peace and war, these two words don't work together. But when the Mughal and the Tatar, they attacked Baghdad, they killed everybody, children and women and elders, and they didn't care until there were rivers of blood running through the city. When Muslims enter any city, after defeating the warriors, the military, and the people just surrender, nobody gets hurt. Nobody gets hurt. People are treated with honor, and we even actually keep the people who are honorable, like who had status in the government, we keep them in their positions. We offer them Islam. If they accepted Islam, we're done with them. We move on. We keep them, even we keep their country for them. And this is unheard of before, because you're victorious. This is your land if you want to make it your land. And this is the beauty about Islam. Unfortunately, people do not understand this jihad concept. We have come to your country to tell you about Islam. You accepted Islam, we leave you, even if we're victorious. Even if we can turn this country into ours. We're not going to do that. Huh? If they don't accept Islam, we give them other options. You pay the jizya, and we'll talk about what jizya is. There are other options, but we never ever kill civilians. Not only that, we don't kill civilians. We do not force our religion over anyone. And if they want to practice their religion, we respect that. Again, all these things make us love our deen, because all of the other religions, even other religions, look what the Crusaders did. The Crusaders holding the cross in their hand, they were killing children and women, what they did in Jerusalem. We'll get to that in Bidayah and Nihaya, some part of it, inshallah. So there is no one, because again, the jihad is the rule made by Allah. So we as Muslims are going to this war for the sake of Allah, not for the sake of our own desire. So this is a very important difference. We follow certain rules. When you are victorious and you have the upper hand, normally people who are strong do not follow any rules. They do whatever they want, because nobody can stop them. But we as Muslims know there is always a power that is stronger than us, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to obey him. When Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was sending the armies in those jihad conquests, he will say, do not cut trees, do not hurt civilians, do not attack the people at night, because you might scare them. What religion is that more beautiful than, even at the time of war? Do not burn any harvest, any plants. Do not destroy any churches, meaning the chicken restaurant. Do not destroy any churches. You can destroy only McDonald's. Do not destroy any places of worship. Imagine what the Spanish, the Portuguese did when they took Spain back from the Muslims. They turned a masjid, beautiful big masjid, they made it a museum, and they put in it the skulls of the Muslims whom they have killed, which still exists at our time. The Museum of the Skulls. You see the skulls of the Muslims, including children's skulls, in that museum. So nobody is like us. When we have power, Spain, there is no one like us when we have power, because we are always ruled by the Quran and Hadith. Other people, other nations, even other religions, when they have the power, look at history and see what they did. The destruction, the pain, and the misery. Muslims will never do that, because we fear Allah at the end of the day. So this is a beautiful thing only you find in Islam.
Shay, I have no dispute with what you have said so far. But I think I'm having a tough time imagining if you are going into another country. I thought that civilians are usually the casualty, and these are the very people that you're trying to deliver the message to. So I'm not exactly. I know it would take. We don't have these superior generals that we used to in the Ummah that can avoid that. But I guess the only way to do that would to be going, I guess, with swords and shields. Whereas in this day and age, they have all these automatic weapons and everything.
Even with those, you have no in Islam, you have no excuse to attack civilians. You have no excuse to attack people, neighborhoods, let's say, for example. Yani, we cannot say, well, we found some military personnel taking shelter in this neighborhood. Let's destroy the neighborhood with whatever is in the neighborhood, like what's happening in Palestine today. That's their excuse. They killed more than 60,000 or maybe 70,000 civilians so far, children and women, with the same excuse. Well, there are some, wa alaikum salam, some of the resistance there hiding among the civilians. In this case, we don't attack. If really the military is using innocent people as shields, then we're not allowed to fire. We're not allowed to hurt the civilians. We have no this statement that the goal justifies the means, or the purpose justifies the means. Well, we want to deliver the message, so it's okay if there are some casualties. No, that's not acceptable. Well, we know so many hadith when it was not even a civilian, a military, a warrior fighting against Khalid ibn al-Walid. And Khalid is about to hit him with the sword, and he said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. And Khalid still killed him. And the Prophet got so mad at him. He said, how did you kill him? He took the shahada. He said it because he was afraid he's going to die. He didn't say it because he's really a Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ said, did you read his heart? Did you read his mind? There is nothing more peaceful than Islam. Even in war, actually at the time of war, and we're going to see that as we go in Bidayah and Nihaya, inshallah, many Muslim wars are mentioned, and you will hear stories that are unbelievable if you compare it to other nations and what they do at the time of war. Look at Napoleon, what he did, and Hitler, and when they were superior in power, and all the innocent people they killed. Tell me about one Muslim war, one innocent people were killed purposely, not by mistake. Mistake can happen, but intentionally, never. Never. Muslims will never do that. And if anybody does that under the cover of Islam, then Islam has nothing to do with them. Because it's happening today. Some of the movements, random movements, they say we're Muslims and we're doing jihad. Unfortunately, they have given a terrible image about jihad and Muslims to the other people. Now this word became a terrifying word. People do not understand that actually this word is what conquers the Muslims movement when they have the superior power. So this is very important. Okay. I hope this is clear, inshallah. So that's number one, to pass the message of Allah. Number two, to fight oppression. To fight oppression, like what's happening in China. Like, for example, if, let's say, I am the Prime Minister of Pakistan, inshallah, and Pakistan is a very powerful country. I'm just saying, yani. It can happen, inshallah. Yeah, inshallah, like Brother Sultan said, when that happens, I'll make sure all my ministers have Lamborghinis. Nobody can defeat us. So, I see what's happening in Kashmir. Women are raped. Muslims have no rights. The situation is terrible. As a Muslim leader, and especially living nearby, that is an excuse for military involvement, because we are fighting oppression that is happening to our people. Today, and Kashmir is mostly Muslims. Some countries today, and this is according to the United Nations, they interfere with other countries' affairs using the same excuse. They say, you guys, you're Muslims, you're not treating our 1% population of Christians the right way, therefore we're going to be involved using power. That's what they did in Iraq and many other countries. They say the 1% population of Christians in your country are not given their rights. Therefore, that's an excuse for us to interfere with your affairs. This has become a very common excuse today. Since you have the superior power, nobody can say no to you. So for us as Muslims, if my brother is undergoing oppression and he cannot push that oppression from himself, but the difference between us and the other countries is that we do it for the sake of Allah. We want this oppression to be removed. Our job is not to go there and take the oil of that country, for example. Our job is not to go and rule that country. Our job is just to get involved until this oppression is removed, and then we let them do whatever they want to do. That is their country, not ours.
But if you're invading, or I don't want to use the word invading, because if you're spreading dawah, I can't think of a better word, but if you're invading another country, the resident population is going to see you as that, as invaders, and they would not be open to your thoughts, your ideas, your religion. And they wouldn't see that you're there to liberate them in any way.
When they see how we treat them, and when they see that we treat them better than their own government, and when they see that Islam is so beautiful and peaceful, give them solutions to their everyday. The problem is, because the word, again, like you said, invade is not a positive word. And war never brought prosperity to any country, because that's not the Islamic way of doing it. When a country invades or attacks another country, it's not for the sake of Allah. It is for the sake of that country, the invading country, the attacking country. It's not for the sake of Allah. So it's going to bring misery to the country that is being attacked. But when you are a Muslim country doing this for the sake of Allah, you are bringing justice to the new country according to Quran and Hadith. You are bringing a better way of life. Read history again. When Khalid ibn Walid, and that I think answers your question really well, he was attacking Persia, and he conquered some cities, and he followed the Quran and Hadith in ruling these cities according to Islam. The other Persian cities, which were under the Persian government still, they were sending letters, the locals, they were sending letters to Khalid ibn Walid, can you come please and conquer our city? Because they hear about the justice Islam delivers and the equality that Islam delivers, no more high taxes, no more oppression. Imagine the locals of the Persians, they were Persians. Under the Persian government, they were sending letters to Khalid ibn Walid, please come and liberate us from this. But today, unfortunately, many countries in the world, without giving examples because it's obvious, they invade other countries with the excuse, we are liberating them. But in reality, they're not liberating anybody. They're taking the resources to themselves. But when I go and I liberate a country from oppression, and I give the resources to the people of the country, and I give the power to the people of the country, and I give justice to the people of the country, then this is truly liberation.